Welcome back to another episode of Lions Avenue. We are officially 8 days away from the beginning of the NFL draft, which our Detroit Lions aren't used to picking this low in the first round. Not used to having this much success as we did in 2023, but we are where we are. And as usual, this is my guy right here, Shanti Veasley. We were just engaging in a funny conversation involving LeBron James, which led to Magic Johnson comparisons, which led to me bringing up Cooper Flag.
Austin Reeves.
Yeah, we went from
Uh,
LeBron James to Cooper Flag to we went from Austin Reeves to LeBron James to Magic Johnson to Cooper Flag, all in the same conversation. So
yeah.
yeah, boy, if y'all could have been there here to understand what we was talking about, but y'all to get it. Y'all to get it later. Oh, yeah, and Josh McRoberts. So
Yeah.
those four names and throw in Josh McRoberts, and you can just only imagine what we was just talking about right now. But all right, so 8 days away, bro. Eight
Yeah.
days away. We done seen all the mock drafts we can see. We've read all the big boards, we've read all the rumors, the articles, and whatnot.
Yeah.
We all think we know. We all pretty much, I think, overall got a good gauge on what the talent level is in this class, especially considering what our Detroit Lions need at 29. But tonight, we're going to take a look back at the roster as currently constructed and let you guys get reacquainted with what we have. Therefore, people can understand when we bring up offensive line and people say, you know what, you guys already have a good offensive line. You can see the holes, you can see the voids that we do need filling due to age in some situations, due to lack of talent at that spot. Also, the
Yeah.
wide receiver position, of course, the cornerback position, the defensive back position overall in general. But what are your initial thoughts before we go through this roster? Because we got some decent additions. I believe we brought in a total of 5 guys in free agency. Um, Still no kicker, still no signs of a kicker. No idea if Brad Holmes intends on drafting a kicker next week, next weekend for that matter.
Yeah.
Backup quarterback situation. Anything happens to Jared Goff, we really don't know about.
Yes, I think Wall have some technical difficulties on his side. As we get into this you know, this period of, evaluating players and, team needs and who's gonna be available. Is it gonna be any trades? Are we gonna trade down? Are we gonna trade up? This is a situation, a time where the roster should be looked at. You know what I mean? It's listen. I think that me and Walt was having this discussion in during the pre-show. What players are like not not untouchable. You know what I'm saying? Like we know that Saint from Jared Goff's going to be here. We know Amara St. Brown, Penny Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson. You know what I'm saying? Sam Laporta, guys that that we invested, Jameer Gibbs that we invested high draft picks on. Jack Campbell. You can even put James Williams in the mix. All of those guys are um, pieces moving forward. You know what I'm saying? I think that where it's kind of shaky, kind of unstable, we don't really have that piece at cornerback. We were talking about the likes of Cooper DeJean during the pre-show. A guy that what is he? You know what I mean? We know he's a good player. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of Iowa, I think that we said that the Lions maybe revolutionized the position, cornerback, safety, of having like positionless defensive backs. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's far fetched. You know, Walt brought it up, and I never really thought about it that way. We did have those conversations during the season because we felt that Aaron Glenn could make it work, man. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the situation, injuries, or if a guy like per se Jerry Jacobs just wasn't playing well. Aaron Glenn made it work, man. It was the next man up mentality, last year. And I think that, man, that group, that room needs to be more stable. I mean, when you look at this roster, overall, this is a roster that really kind of had a revolving door, you know what I'm saying, at cornerback. And we were lucky, I believe we were lucky to get away with some of the deficiencies because we lack some things at athleticism, what I'm saying, at that position. I think safety, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Melifonwu was excellent to be at the end of last season. Those guys seem like they can coexist, they can coincide. We wanted to be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It seemed like that he was like the odd man out in that whole situation. So, when it came down to it, it was like they played better ball down the stretch without CD Deuce, you know what I'm saying? Without it was just unfamiliarity, I think, that came out of Chauncey Gardner being hurt most of the season. He came back, and it was sort of like then they didn't kind of have a spot for him, and then it was like Melifonwu kind of emerged. So I think that they found out, like, by default, like Melifonwu was kind of like a guy. Okay, we can work with this. You know what I'm saying? And this is a guy that has been in the Lions organization. I give the Lions credit. He's one of the guys that you could give an organization credit. I used him and Derek Barnes last year as two guys that were drafted by management. Kept around and was able to still have a vote of confidence from the coaching staff. My partner, he back now, Walt. Uh,
And I haven't heard a damn thing.
Yeah. I mean,
the last 4 minutes, man.
Well, we talking about Cooper DeJean. I was telling the folks, man, we talk about Cooper DeJean and his ability to be able to add more athleticism. We need athleticism. I think that we need to be more athletic at the cornerback position. I really do. I think we kind of stiff, kind of like no juice there at all, man. And I was talking about Aaron Glenn, his ability to be able to make these guys coexist, you know what I'm saying, pieces. And I thought you brought up a valid point, a very good point pre-show, talking about I think that we revolutionized the position. I really do like having like basketball. We see positionless basketball now. I mean, you just put your best five out there and let it roll. I think secondary, the same thing in the NFL. I think you put the best athletic cover, press guys you got, you know what I'm saying, and you make it work. And I think that's unheard of, I think, in years past. But I think Aaron Glenn, it just shows you, man, how remarkable he was. Like, just think back. Well, think back at all those games we was looking at, like, man, how in the hell is we going to be able to cover anybody? And, CeeDee Lamb, kind of made us look silly. Justin Jefferson a couple times made us look silly. DJ Moore made us look, you know what I'm saying? It was like we had our issues. The Green Bay game on Thanksgiving, we were kind of looking silly out there. So I do think if you had to point to, an area on this team that, that has to improve, man, I believe it's got to be the secondary. Now, I don't know. I brought up Cooper DeJean. Like I said, it's not a draft show, but I'm looking at guys that might fit. And I brought up Tyler Nubin from Minnesota. I like TJ. I think you like TJ Tampa too. I mean, I like him. It's just a lot of guys that's out there, 3, 4, 5 deep. I'm cool. I'm the Kool-Aid thing, Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm not against it. I'm not as high on it like I was, like I told you at the beginning of the college football season. But I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I'm gonna just tell you that, Walt, at 29, I wouldn't hate it. But when you look at this, let's talk about the cornerback, the secondary before we get into the, because I remember you mentioned the receivers. And the receivers we lacking too. I mean, I really do think this team needs a receiver. I mean, I like that Donovan People-Jones is back. You know,
Yeah.
you got JMO. You know, obviously we expecting a big leap coming in next year. You know, we got St. Brown, and that's pretty much it. You know, Khalif Raymond. You know what I'm saying? I like Leaf. Leaf does an important role on this team, but cornerback. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Well, I mean, at some point in this draft coming up, that you would wanna, because as I record, I don't know if can you pull the roster up as it stands. I mean, we got Kendall Vildor on the roster. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't feel comfortable with Kendall Vildor going in the next season. I don't. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm not
Well,
mad at him for the
yeah, I
San
think
Francisco
Kendall.
game.
I
Yeah.
think Vildor played well, man. It's just that the lasting memory of him is that terrible play and Ayuk
Mm-hmm.
scoring the touchdown. That's
Yep.
really what it is. Same thing with Derek Barnes. You know, Derek Barnes played well last season, but all some fans choose to remember him by is the whiff on
Mm-hmm.
Dak Prescott instead of the sack. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously cornerback is a need. I think also when you look at the idea of them possibly switching over to positionless secondary is realistic, because I think when you got a secondary full of guys who can play corner as well as safety, and I mentioned this in the pre-show, we discussed this, it prevents you from being ever in the jam. Because at some point in time, cornerbacks get hurt, running backs get hurt, offensive linemen get hurt. That's just how it is. And when you have a secondary that's just straight set up with, okay, this corner can only play on the outside, this corner can only play slot, this corner can only play zone, this safety can only play box, this safety can only play one high. Don't ask him to do any cover three zones, any twos, nothing like that. He's a one high guy. Once guys start getting hurt, it's kind of hard to really maintain that. Now, if you look at us, Ifeatu Melifonwu played corner his whole life, was a corner at Syracuse. Going back to that time at Syracuse, there were discussions of him coming out. Should he be switched to safety? Now, it took them 2 years to figure out he's probably better suited to play safety.
Yeah.
But in a jam, can Melifonwu go out there and play corner for us in certain matchups? Yes. Brian Branch, yes. Kirby Joseph can play some slot. He can cover some guys. So would it be possible that they would really value a guy like Cooper DeJean, another guy who can play some safety, can play some corner, very intelligent football player, a ball hawk? It makes sense. Now, I would have to really see if the draft fell that way, what else was on the board at that point in time before I would actually pull the trigger on Cooper DeJean. But I think Cooper DeJean coming here is very realistic. And I'm going to bring up the roster right now as you wanted me to. And let me see if everybody can see this. Let me bring it out to the full screen. Matter of fact, maximize that for everybody out there. All right, so I'm gonna go straight to the defense first. We can go back to the offense. Straight to the secondary, which is what you wanted to go to first. All right, so it's not been updated yet. They have not added the free agency additions that we did get.
Yeah.
So as of before the additions of the guys we did bring in free agency, Kendall Vildor, Khalil Dorsey. Damn, that don't look right, bro.
Yeah.
That don't look right at all. And to say that corner shouldn't be on the board, or people are just talking about we should trade up for a wide receiver or trade up for Brock Bowers, a tight end, is goofy. When you look at the deficiencies on this team, and these are deficiencies that you and I discussed last offseason. We pounded the table about cornerback heading into last year's draft. They walked away without one. We pounded the table for the secondary and the cornerback position all through free agency, all through training camp.
Yeah.
They never addressed it. They let guys like Sterling Thomas go, who could have potentially been a young type of star here. He didn't make the team. A guy like Chase Lucas is gone. And you turn around a year later, a full calendar year later, with another draft approaching us in 8 days, and we're sitting here pounding the table about the same damn issue from last all season. Yeah. Cornerback. Take it over.
Yeah. I mean, and it's Kendall Vildor, Khalil Dorsey, serves spot duty as a return guy. Now that's another thing. What makes I think Cooper DeJean a guy that's got an asterisk by his name that could be a Lion because, what's up, Sean? The situation where now the kick return game is back into play, and I know Cooper DeJean is a guy that can play in that role for us. You know what I'm saying too, because like I said, Khalil Dorsey made me think of it because I know he played some return last year. Brian Branch, a Swiss Army knife. You know what I'm saying? Love Brian Branch. He's stable. Melifon was solid. You know what I'm saying? And Kirby Joseph. But like I said, a guy like Tyler Nubin, I wouldn't shy away from having another safety, a guy that's smart back there, a smart football player. A guy that I wanted Darnell Savage in free agency. I thought Darnell Savage is super underrated for the Packers. I think he wound up going back to Green Bay, but he was a guy that I was kind of targeting too. But I think that Melifonwu at times may need to have a backup. I don't know if he's gonna be a starter yet, but I know definitely he's gonna be on the roster. But I would feel more comfortable maybe with another safety, definitely another corner. I know that Mel Kiper. I was watching him and shaking my head. They did have Peg taking Javon Bullard, I think it was, from Georgia. I think in the third round at safety. So let's see, how that transpires the night of the draft. But yeah, just getting back to the corner situation, Walt, it's like we don't even have spots, dude. Look, I mean, yeah, Amik Robertson, and Carlton Davis is not on there. But I just feel we need to add another guy, maybe safety more than just another guy that can play more than one position. You know what I'm saying? Walt, is I think it could be a need because that's the new NFL. Like you said, I don't think it's you stand in the and play center field anymore. I think that you're gonna have to support the run. I think you're gonna have to, you know, you know, chase a guy from side to side every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Maybe call you on a blitz. And we know that AG likes to, throw different stunts out there, different blitz packages, So I think you're going to have be a guy that can cover. You can do it all, man, and play special teams. So
I
it's a
mean,
void.
the caliber of athlete is so intense now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just require that type of situation, well, at least that type of skill set to be a corner or even a safety for that matter in this day and age in the NFL. Look at the offensive line. It was a point in time where centers were born in football. Now you're either a left tackle, which makes you a top 5 pick if you're an elite prospect, or you're a right tackle that gets stereotyped as the guy that we're going to build our run game behind. If you're an interior offensive lineman, they want you to be able to play center and guard.
Yeah.
And you don't find too many of those guys coming out of college anymore. The guys who can do it and do it at a high level are very special. And that's one major reason why I'm like so high on Cooper Beebe. Cooper Beebe, I believe, is one of the most underrated players in this draft, and whoever gets him is going to probably have a guy on their offensive line on the interior for about 10 to 12 years, at least, because he provides that versatility. And if you look at us in our case, just going back to the roster real quick, even the nickelback situation, head coach Dan Campbell did mention in a presser a couple months ago that they planned on using Brian Branch more at safety this year. I don't know exactly how much that leads on to what they plan on doing in the draft, but that's something also to take into account. Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph had a pretty good rookie season. Only thing about it is, outside of Aaron Rodgers, what did he really do against any other quarterback in the league? He had 4 interceptions, I think.
Yeah.
His first year, rookie year, 3 of them came against Aaron Rodgers or something like that.
Yeah.
Did he play well last season? I thought he played a lot better against the run, a lot better than what he was a year ago. I also think that he kind of got caught up in the log jam with a lot of safety talent.
Yep.
Ifeatu Melifonwu kind of eclipsed him last year with his playmaking ability, and they didn't really call on Kirby to do as much in the slot. in coverage as he did his rookie year. And that's just due to more talent being on the field, I believe. And you and I talked about Kirby because you was a huge Kirby Joseph fan coming out of Illinois.
Yeah.
When you running that 4.25, man, a lot of times, unless you're just some big time elite safety within that 4.25, teams rotate those dudes out because it seems like one or two guys always outshine one of those other guys in the situation, and somebody ends up playing one of those roles within that 4.25 that doesn't really benefit them that well. Could I see a guy like Kirby Joseph not being here after next season unless he has a big season? Yeah. If they take a safety, I think the writing's on the wall. If they take, you and I both believe Tyler Nubin is the best safety in this class. If they take Nubin at 29, writing's on the wall for somebody. And I think it's got to be Kirby Joseph because Branch is a stud. Melifonwu displayed his versatility. I can play corner. I could play on the outside on the boundary against bigger wide receivers. If you want me to line up on certain tight ends, I'm big and athletic enough to match and mirror those tight ends. I can handle some big slots, some super slots. I can play safety in the box. I can blitz. They really unlocked him this past season. And I think people don't really give AG enough credit for that. Because remember, heading into last offseason, him and Derek Barnes were the two guys.
Yeah.
You and I both were discussing, like, man, I don't
Yep.
know if these guys gonna make the team or not. This is a major season for Iffy. This is a major season for Derek.
Yeah.
They both played very well.
Yeah.
Played very well, and I just think that AG deserves a lot more credit for the maturation of both those two players.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. If you move forward, like you said, even looking at our defense, continue to, like Anzalone and Reeves maybe, it's almost like linebacker is kind of a need, man. That's why I've been on the Edgerrin Cooper train, you know what I'm saying? Chris Braswell, because those guys fit what we kind of need. I kind of like that Darius Robinson's kind of being mentioned. He wasn't one of my top 5 guys. I'm gonna just say that right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't upset me if they took Darius Robinson. I mean, he's local kid. I like that about him, obviously. But but I do think he does have a skill set that we kind of need, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because if you look at it, Hutch, we know what Hutch is. We talked about James Houston, I think, and we talked about in the last show, Walt, Broderick Martin, Anzarike, James Houston, those 3 guys right there, man. This is huge for them. This is a huge draft. Everything leading up to, next season. You know what I'm saying? This upcoming season, rather, because this is going to play a part in, like you said, like I wonder, depending on, you would think that they would draft another lineman in that, in that spot. DJ Reader is not on this list, but I don't know. Do you think that's another area too? I mean, do you think the defensive line is a must? You know what I'm saying? Is a gotta have it type spot, or do you think it's another developmental player? Late in the draft. 6th or 7th round. That type of thing. Is it another Broderick Martin out there that we're gonna just take a stab at and throw it up against the wall and see if it worked? That type of thing. So
I think it depends on what talent falls. Just basically because I'm not sure when it comes to like the interior defensive lineman in this class, I'm not sure how high anybody's gonna go. I think it's kind of a consensus that everybody likes Byron Murphy and his ability to press the pocket from the interior and just
Texas.
wreak havoc. There are some questions and concerns about his height, a little bit of the arm length or whatnot. But still, he's a hell of a player. I think he's a better all-around player than Kalijah Kancey was from a year ago.
Yes, I was just going to say Kancey is a good comparison, Walt. That's exactly who I was going to think.
I think he's a more physical player. I think he's stronger at the point of attack. He's better against the run. He's a more of a hellraiser. He's more of that Aaron Donald temperament. But still, I think if Byron Murphy was 6'3", instead of 6 foot and a quarter or whatever, if Byron Murphy was 6'3" at the same weight, you talking about a guy who's probably a top 7 pick. I don't think he would get past Atlanta if that was the case, because Atlanta, they desperately need a difference maker in their front seven. So I think just the lack of height alone is something that's going to scare some people off about Byron Murphy. He could slip. You got Jerzon Newton, you got Braden Fisk, Tavondre Sweat to a lesser extent later on in the draft. He had that off the field incident a week or so ago.
Yeah.
So, he got his issues going on, but I think it all comes down to who falls. I mean, we could see a situation where, depending on who you viewed as the elite defensive tackle, we could have our pick of that guy. Like, it wouldn't shock me if Byron Murphy slipped that far. You talking about there's going to be a run on quarterbacks. There's going to be a run on wide receivers. I think there's probably a good 4 corners, maybe 5 that could go in the first round. There's going to be a run of those real quick. About 4 tackles. In the blink of an eye, an edge rusher or 2.
Yeah.
In the blink of an eye, man, the number 1 D tackle could be on the board at 29 for all we know. Because if we think about it, man, Reader helps out a lot against the run. He's a tremendous football player as long as he's healthy. If he didn't have the issue this past season heading into free agency, Reader would have got a lot more money. He would have garnered a lot more money for somebody else. But we still have the issue of the interior pass rush. Now, the one thing I will say is about that is that Reader commands a double team consistently. So with that being said, can we get more out of Aleem McNeil at 3 technique? This is a big year for him, because if Reader stays healthy and Reader provides him that insurance and that help that he needs next to him at the nose or at the 2 tech, okay, Aleem, it's time for you to take that next step. Yeah. Can you be a 10 sack interior defensive lineman? I don't need you to be 14, 15, 16. But the top guys, the Quentin Williams of the world, the Jeffrey Simmons, the Chris Joneses, those guys, they're 10 to 14 sack guys consistently. And then once you're talking about paying a guy market value, which I'm not sure exactly what market value right now would be for Aleem McNeil next offseason, you got to make it worth our while, man. You have to.
Yeah.
Because the guys who really get paid on the interior defensive line, the $20 million a year guys, even Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins isn't as good against the run as Aleem McNeil, but he's a better pass rusher, interior pass rusher. That's why he got the money he got from the Raiders. So, yeah, I think interior defensive line pass rush is still there because we have zero idea what we're going to get out of Broderick Martin. I think John Kaminsky's just a guy. I'm being 1,000% about it. Can he help in a pinch?
Yeah.
Sure. But let's be real about it, man. I think as fans, a lot of us have to stop viewing this team with kid gloves, man. Yeah. This ain't the Lions from 3 years ago. We good now. It's okay to have higher expectations out of what we want on this roster and this depth chart. And we are in a position now where we can do better than Kaminsky.
Yeah.
We don't have to keep trotting Kaminsky out there. We can upgrade from that, man. Josh Pascal, like you said, I think he's a rotational guy, can provide some versatility at different spots, depending on the Sunday in, Sunday out matchup wise. Broderick, he's the wild card.
Yeah.
Levi, I would be shocked if Levi made this team at all. Yep. And that right there is the interior defensive line for everybody to see right there.
Yeah.
With DJ Reader added to it.
Yeah, so that right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, those are 2 areas that you would think that, the Lions would, Brad Holmes would address that. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, I'm not expecting much from Onwuzurike. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. I mean, he hasn't produced yet. You know what I'm saying? He had injury issues, and last year, like I said, the games he played, while I barely heard his name, I barely heard him know he was out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously we watch every play, but he doesn't, for a second round pick, he doesn't provide enough for me. Like I said, I'm willing to go into the season with Josh Pascal and say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Let's see what he's got. You know what I'm saying? He was injury, he had injury issues too when we drafted him out of Kentucky, but now last year he was relatively healthy. He did have some mishaps too last year health-wise, but I mean, he did. I know he played in at least half the games last year. You know what I'm saying? And it was, I think the Dallas game, Josh Pascal played really well. I think if I can remember, my memory serves me correct. But like you said, Broderick Martin, man, I want to see more. I mean, hopefully this is the year that you could say Broderick Martin is ready to go out. And what I like to this is another thing I do like this coaching staff. I don't believe the coaching staff going to trot you out there unless you ready to go, man. You know what I'm saying? That can be a detriment and good at the same time. What I mean is like Melifonwu being out there, you knew they trust Melifonwu. You know what I'm saying? The time he was in there last year. You know what I'm saying? You knew. Remember what we drafted Jack Campbell, and then we turned around and said, "Man, Jack Campbell not even start." Remember in preseason, they was like, "Dude, the Derek Barnes taking all the snaps. He was, he really like took off. It seemed like he was like, I don't give a damn. I'm not giving up my spot. That type of thing." So I believe that this team could to make it to another level, plateaus that this team has never been before, that they're gonna have to upgrade this roster, man. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, like you said, it's nothing against John Kaminsky and the guys we mentioned, but it's like you got to get some more talent in those spots, man. You know what I'm saying? We're talking Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Now Lions fans talking Super Bowl. It ain't no, let's just see what happens. Last year was let's see what happens. Now we know what we have, we know what we need, we know what we got, that type of thing. So yeah, I'm expecting, and I like, we talking about the roster, and the problem, it's not a problem, but the thing, we don't know what direction, because we have so many needs, right? And we hear Brad Holmes say earlier this week, well, ended last week, he was saying that best player available, he's answering our question. It's like he is saying every position is out on the table, pretty much. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we laying it out there for everybody to see. I think clear as day. Even if you look at the linebacker position, you're talking about Barnes, Anzalone, Campbell, Reeves Maben, who I really don't count as a linebacker. He's the captain of the of special teams, so I really don't even factor him in like that. But then you got Malcolm Rodriguez and you got James Houston, who probably all off season is going to rotate on the depth chart between defensive line and linebacker. He's still learning if they actually intend on playing him at linebacker. So yeah, man, it's scarce there. I mean, this is for people to really see. And when we get to the offense, you can be like, damn. Like it's like night and day when you look at the caliber of talent that we have on offense compared to what we have on defense. Like I said, Barnes turned out to be a pleasant surprise last season. Malcolm helped out in a variety of ways. Jack Campbell, I think Jack is going to take that next step. I think Jack's going to be a hell of a football player. I really do. Now, what I believe more than anything else, we need somebody different on defense. We need not necessarily him. I wouldn't mind him as a player, even though I don't think his personality would work here with this coaching staff. But like a Micah Parsons, like we need a difference maker on defense. That's why I've been so adamant behind Dallas Turner. Somebody who doesn't fit what we think we need as far as the stature, height, weight, and this and that. We need a big time difference maker because Aiden is that typical 4-3 defensive lineman, can play some 3-4 depending on what you want to put him at in that scheme. But we need somebody that's a difference maker. Now, if Jack becomes this, and this is something I think we got to always remember too as fans, the same way Melifonwu and Derek Barnes shocked us last offseason. I mean, shocked us this past season and became two guys that really became stars for us last season. It's almost guaranteed to have two more players on the roster right now who we're not talking about, who could take that next step, whether it's Branch or it's Joseph for that matter. Or like I said, it could be Jack Campbell, could be Antoine Green. We'll discuss it when we get to the offense. Donovan Peoples-Jones. So everything isn't completely wrapped up in the draft because we could have some improvements made to this team by internally, which is very well possible. But
Yeah, thanks.
we get through the defense, we go to the offense now. Jared Goff and Hendon Hooker, and of course you got your boy Nate Sudfeld, Indiana's finest, as the emergency quarterback. I want to start with quarterback, man, because I think this is very, very, very important because it's the most important position on the field.
Yep.
How confident are you? Well, let me rephrase that, because you can't be confident right now because we haven't seen one single snap from Hendon Hooker, whether it be regular season or preseason. But when you look at the way this team is currently constructed, we think they're going to get better with the additions that they made in the offseason so far, with Zeitler to the offensive line and whatnot. We feel this roster getting better. We assume we're going to get somebody good at 29 or 2 second-round picks, whatever it may be, whether they trade up to get a guy or they trade back to get a couple good guys.
Yeah.
If Goff is gone, not necessarily Goff is gone for 7, 8, 9 games. If Goff is gone, because we were able to weather the storm last season with a couple injuries, nagging injuries with a running back here or there with Montgomery, the receiver group a little bit, offensive line is norm.
Mm-hmm.
How confident are you if Goff goes down for, let's say, a month, which could be 4 games, depending on where the bye is placed at? Do you think that with the way they want to run the football, because teams are defensively they're gonna play us differently. If Goff isn't out there and Hendon Hooker's out there would approve it.
Mm-hmm.
So teams already know Hooker's out there, they gonna run the football. Yeah. Detroit wants to run the football whether Goff is there or not. So if Hendon Hooker's there, they're gonna run the football. How confident are you in the backup quarterback situation right now?
I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Damn.
think that it's a situation where we've had some stability there. We haven't. You know what I'm saying? Nate Sudfeld, obviously, he was a guy that came at the beginning of last year. So I think he would actually get the nod over Hendon Hooker, I might say. I think Hendon Hooker's
He
time.
better not.
Well, what reason
He
why I
better
say
not.
that? Listen, Hendon Hooker will probably play in the preseason. He'll probably play 80% of the snaps. I think that they got him on a low pitch count, man. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it. I know what Hendon Hooker can do. I've seen him in college. You know what I'm saying? I just don't believe. I think they in the business to win games. I don't think that they think they probably would have a better chance with Sudfeld.
They can't believe that. They can't, bro.
The thing about this is
they thought the same thing with Tim Boyle. Remember?
Yeah. You don't want Goff to get hurt. I mean, that's number one. I mean, if that situation happens, season's over. Like trying to go anywhere we need to go.
I think we good. I think we can pull a Cleveland. I think we got, and I compare us to Cleveland because Cleveland, with Deshaun Watson went down, they still had an elite defense.
Yeah.
And they still had a good head coach. And they went through 4 starting quarterbacks. I think if you look at our situation, if Goff went down for the season, you're talking about an elite running game, an offensive line that's still pretty good. You got some weapons in the passing game. You got Sam Laporta, you got St. Brown, you got some guys out there.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how far along Hendon Hooker is in his development, if he's a good quarterback, he can step in and he can drive that boat. He can drive that bus, so to speak. Now, if he's Desmond Ridder and he steps in, he's just not an NFL caliber starting quarterback, then the season goes to shit.
Yeah, I think CJ Stroud does set the standard. Everybody ain't CJ Stroud, man. He a unicorn, dude. You know what I'm saying? I think it's so I like Hendon Hooker. I do. I'm a Hendon Hooker guy. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that you could come in. I think if with a ready-made team like we have offensively, running game, good offensive line, of course, it'll be like more doable. You know what I'm saying? Now, if Hendon Hooker came in, oh boy, and we paid Goff the money that he commands, then
that's
we
usually
know
how it go. Oh, that's what I was getting at. Like That's what worst case scenario is. Golf goes down after we pay him. Hooker comes in, pulls a Nick Foles or something.
Yeah.
It leads
Yeah.
us to a Super Bowl.
Like,
Now we
go to
talking
Super
about,
Bowl.
yeah.
And yeah, that's something different. You know what I'm saying? That's really something different right there. And trust me, Hooker got some talent. I just believe that, man, it's hard for a rookie, Walt, to come in and just all right away, hand him the keys and we start winning right away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, man, that would be tough. You know what I mean? But maybe in a scenario where, like you said, maybe for 3 or 4 games, if Golf gets hurt, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Knock on wood, we saying all this predicated on if Golf gets hurt. But if he doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like, he could maybe steer the ship, man, a couple games, but I wouldn't say. I mean, that's just not smart to say that he could lead us to the Super Bowl. Right? I don't see
I
that
mean,
happening.
it's
Not right off the
no,
bat. You know what
I
I'm
wouldn't
saying?
put that on. I wouldn't put that on any quarterback. I
Yeah,
didn't think Stroud was gonna lead Houston to the Super Bowl last year, but I'm saying like the last visual we have memory of Hendon Hooker prior to the injury was him balling. That's the whole thing about it. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue behind it.
yeah,
Now does he have history going against him? Yeah.
yeah,
Because the track record of these 24-year-old, 25-year-old rookie quarterbacks coming in ain't good. It's not.
yep,
It's really bad. If we we want to be honest about it. So I mean, if Hooker can play and you look at what we have in place, not saying he has to lead us to a Super Bowl or whatnot. That's the fairy tale. That doesn't happen to, only so many teams every 10, 15 years, it feels like. But
yeah,
the
yep, yep.
offense is good enough
Yeah, of
for
course.
you for you to
Yeah,
not screw it up. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. So it's like you got the right head coach in place, you got the right offensive coordinator in place. They want to run the football anyway.
there we
They
go.
wanted, yeah.
And,
So at the end of the day, would Hooker be in a good situation? Yeah. And if you're good, if you're the guy that was projected to be a first round pick before the injury,
then you should come on
then
ball.
you should
I
be able
get
to come out and play.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It just be. I view next season, man, as like you said, man, because I think that everybody gunning for us. I think next year, this year is gonna be like no other because I think that now everybody is after the Lions. You know what I'm saying? We get everybody's best game next year. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, but
So shut up alone. I
yeah,
don't know. I'm not convinced, but hey, listen, man. I'm gonna ask you all this too. Mainly you, my man, because and I was thinking about this the other day. Like, let's say, okay, Hooker goes out there in the preseason.
yeah,
What is it, 3 games now? No longer 4 games.
just 3 games. Yep.
Hooker plays really well because everybody loves the backup quarterback in every city, especially
Yeah.
when he's a young guy. Hooker plays well in 3 games. You're Brad Holmes. You haven't signed Jared Goff yet.
Mhm.
I'm not even sure how deep into the offseason this whole situation is going to go. We can ask that too. Like, I don't know if you believe that they're going to have him signed before the season starts or not.
Yeah.
But does it make it interesting if Hooker goes out there and it's just preseason, but
Yeah.
it's a good showing? You can only hurt yourself if you don't perform well. But if he goes out there, he makes some throws, he leads some scoring drives, some long productive drives.
Yeah.
He has command of the offense. How does it make you feel as the GM if you haven't signed Golf yet? Because does it make you take a 0 or 2 off of the offer? Does it go from 45 to 42?
Yeah, I mean, very good question. That's a very good question.
What's up,
I would.
Jeremy?
What's up, Jeremy? I would say this. I think that this is how I envision it. I think that right now, like, okay, Hooker's like number 3 on the depth chart, right? I think this was gonna happen. I think that he'll get in. He's going to play most of the snaps in the preseason. I think the way to play it is you let him throw the ball 30 times, that type of thing. With the backups, whoever the hell in there is. Goff ain't playing a down in August, so you ain't got to worry about that. And I think that he's going to elevate himself into the number 2. That's what I think is going to happen with Hendon Hooker. Nate Sudfeld might not even be on the roster. You know what I'm saying? I think that Hooker will definitely outplay him and be the backup, because right now he's number 3, because Nate Sudfeld's technically the backup right now. You know
Man, do we really expect him to be the backup, though?
You know what I mean?
No, but we don't. We do not. Listen, man, Hendon bet not get beat out by Nate.
Yeah, Nate Sudfeld will not be on his team.
He was nasty Nate last season. he better not get beat out by nasty Nate, man.
Yeah,
better not happen.
So yeah, I mean, and then I think that situation, the only reason why I think that they have a third quarterback is because right now that his health was an issue, just like Sean said. You know, that he hadn't, no one hadn't seen Hendon Hooker since college. So, you know what I'm saying? We haven't seen him play. And I think getting the coaching staff behind you and like they know that you're ready to play now, you know what I'm saying? The injury, no setbacks, stuff like that, Walt. You know what I'm saying? Now it's basically you learning the playbook, that type of thing. You know, I think he elevated himself to number 2. You know what I'm saying? That's my prediction.
Roy Whitman, better
yeah.
not. Exclamation.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, it would be like, even though I do understand Hendon Hooker wasn't a first round pick, but it would be the equivalent of your first round pick not playing his rookie year, coming back and getting beat out by a journeyman.
Yeah.
It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign at all. That's like Anthony Richardson, even though, in my opinion, I love Anthony Richardson, bro. I think Richardson is going to be a star. And I was talking to somebody earlier yesterday about him. I think that I could see him being comeback player of the year, like having a monster type season. Because I think Anthony Richardson's, before the injury, because he started kind of tentative, I felt like most rookie quarterbacks do in their first career start or first few starts. Same thing with CJ Stroud. I thought last year CJ Stroud, he started kind of slow. He started real. He had an off game against the Ravens. That was for damn sure.
Yeah.
But it didn't take Anthony Richardson long at all to adjust. And he was out there. What I was really impressed with Anthony Richardson was his ability to still throw the ball from the pocket. Like, I expected him to run the ball. He did run the ball a lot. Matter of fact, he got hurt a couple times last season. That's why he ended up on IR. But his ability to buy time, improvise, and still keep his eyes downfield and push the ball. Like Anthony Richardson, I think he's going to be a bona fide star.
Yeah, he a damn freakazoid, man. Yeah, he crazy. Yeah, yep. I totally agree. I think that was this Mike Tackett. I think he posed a question at 29. We take Edgerrin Cooper. If you was asking me, you know how I feel. Hell yeah, I would take Edgerrin Cooper at 29. That's the guy.
He fits into what he fits the category. What I'm talking about, somebody different.
He'd be right. That's what I'm saying. He's not the conventional guy. I think he'd be perfect for the Lions. You know, Edgerrin Cooper, he's on my big board. I mean, I would definitely take him. If Nix is available at 73, nope, I wouldn't take Bo Nix at all. Especially, I like Bo Nix and Walt. No, I like Bo Nix, but I wouldn't. You got Hendon Hooker. I mean, why would you take Bo Nix unless you don't have Jared Goff, that type of thing? So I don't think that would be ideal. Not for us. I mean, I would rather take, depending on if we took a corner at that point or the next best offensive lineman, AE, if we don't get Zach Frazier or Powers Johnson, obviously that's a long shot. But with Chris Haynes from UConn, or I like Christian Mahogany too from Boston College. That's another guy I would consider taking at 73, or Cooper Beebe as well. Could be there. A couple D linemen. I almost flirted with the notion to take Chris Jenkins at that spot. You know what I'm saying? Maybe third, fourth round of Chris Jenkins from Michigan is there. That's probably the only guy I told you that I probably would take a chance on. Maybe San Francisco too, if I had to go Michigan guys, but just to get
draft talk in there a little bit. So yeah, I mean, looking at this offensive line, I mean, we could say they pretty solid. Our Seeker actually played okay last year in spot duty.
Yeah.
Kobe Sorstall got baptized a little bit last year, and he played okay. I think that I was very happy with Kobe Sorstall from where we took him. He kind of got in there and played. I mean, our Seeker's not really. I think he might have been an undrafted free agent or something like that. But we kind of need another guy. Which we do. I think we need one guy that kind of, like you said, to pattern what we already have. You know what I'm saying? Because Taylor Decker's getting long in the tooth, and I think eventually I think you said it from the beginning that Penny probably going to move over to left tackle in the future. You know what I'm saying? So you might want to get your next right tackle in here. You know what I'm saying? And start getting them ready. Like I said, I love Zach Frazier. I think Zach Frazier would be perfect for the Lions right now at this point too. You know what I'm saying? I like a lot of those guards. I think guard is really, really, really a good spot, Walt, this year to get you a guard. Graham Glasgow is a guy that he is replaceable. I like Glasgow. I do. I think he fits a culture. He's that guy. He's going to do his job. He ain't going to complain. Ain't going to say much. You know what I'm saying? Just goes out there and works.
He's just helping out. He's not the long-term answer.
Exactly. He's not the guy with he's not the talented guy that you can get excited about. He's just, he's a guy. I mean, not throwing him under the bus or nothing like that, but I could see us getting a guard. And I think we very well will. Will it be the first pick at 29? Maybe. You know what I mean? That's not. I wouldn't be upset about it. You know what I'm saying? Because they have to address that spot. Look, we don't even have anybody next to Taylor Decker. Well, Zeitler is here for what was a 1-year deal, and I think that
I thought it was 2.
Maybe it was. Maybe Zeitler was for 2 years, but I thought that was a good pickup. I mean, Zeitler's very good in the run game. I think our offensive line is going to be A1 again. You know what I'm saying? As long as they stay healthy. Decker, Zeitler, Ragnow, Glasgow, and Penei Sewell is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I would rather, add another guy if we could, to that mix. I even seen that what's the guy from Duke that's climbing up the boards right now?
Barton.
Yeah. I seen the Lions had him pegged, and one guy couldn't pronounce his name. Sorry, forgive me, y'all, from BYU.
Kingsley S.
Kingsley S. Yeah, yep. They got him pegged too to the Lions. I seen a mock draft yesterday, so. And he's a mountain of a dude too. I wouldn't be upset at that either. Even though I think he's a wild card, but the one position in the NFL draft I would definitely take a chance on is offensive line. I think when you have size, and what's the big guard last year, Walt, from Ohio State. I think Cleveland drafted him last year.
Oh, you talking about the tackle, DeJuan Jones?
DeJuan Jones. Remember, dude, he was what, 6'5", like damn near 360.
No, DeJuan was 6'7".
6'7",
6'8".
Oh man,
like yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a spot. Like this year, I think it's Tyler Guyton is the guy from Oklahoma that you would say he's more of a project. But if you hit on a guy like that, like you said, now you got a freak, man. You know what I'm saying? That you're gonna have to really.
I'm gonna say this: if you want to tackle, you better take him at 29, because I think the blue chip talent that's kind of where it dies off at. Because let me think. Depends on what you view Barton as, and Troy Fatundu too. Also, the tackle from Washington. Yeah. Both of those guys are projected to be guards at the next level, but they could prove everybody wrong and play tackle in college. It could move to the next level and play tackle. I think both of those guys will be gone before 29. Talise Fuaga, Oregon State, he'll be gone before 29. Olu Fashanu, he'll be gone before 29. Joe Alt will be gone before 29. Amarius Mims will be gone before 29. So if you're not getting one of the elite guys, I'd be kind of hard pressed to reach for. I probably wouldn't take Guyton at that spot.
No,
I just look at it like this. I think when you look at all the needs, on this team you have to consider, right? So it's corner, safety, wide receiver, offensive line, interior offensive line for that matter, to be specific. Uh, Edge rusher, interior defensive line. Which one of those positions, you got to ask this question, which one of those positions provides the most depth and which one of those positions is the most shallow? Because I think at 29, if you have the opportunity, if I want an offensive line, if I want an interior offensive line, I'm not taking the guard at 29 because I can get quality guard help in the second round and the third round and the fourth round.
Yeah.
Maybe even the fifth.
Yeah.
Wide receiver help. I can get wide receiver help in the second. I can get it in the third. I can get it in the fourth. There's going to be starters that come out of this draft at wide receiver from the sixth round. Watch what happens. Cornerback is kind of scarce once you get past the top 3, maybe 4 guys. Everybody else is kind of like projects, guys like Demarion Richardson from Mississippi State.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys are projects. So it's like, the Nate Wiggins of the world, the Quinyon Mitchells. Once you get past those guys, like the blue chip, big time traits guys, the athletes, the man corners, the guys that can do it all, everybody else is kind of typecast into what their scheme is. So I'm like, you know what? That's why I brought up defensive tackle. I think defensive tackle is scarce. And if you get the opportunity at 29 to get a guy on the interior of that defensive line, because we talked about Aleem McNeil. Yeah. What if we're sitting here next all season talking about, yeah, I'm not paying Aleem. You gotta cover your ass, man, in a lot of situations. We remember what happened with Sue. We thought we was gonna bring Sue back. You passed on Aaron Donald, even though Sue was a completely different situation. I don't think Sue ever really wanted to be here like that anyway. But you don't want to start losing guys on that defensive line. You got to cover yourself just in case Aleem doesn't perform well, or DJ Reader doesn't perform well, or Reader's injured, or Broderick Martin turns out to be exactly what we thought Broderick Martin was. Maybe he's not going to be anything special. You got to really factor all these things in. We still do need help on the interior of the defensive line. And I just think that with the way the draft is going to fall, corners are going to come off the board quick. Quarterbacks are, wide receivers are, the tackles are going to go. Edge rushers are going to go. We could find, like I said, as much as I love Byron Murphy, I can move past the height situation. There's a good chance. There's a good chance that Byron Murphy could start to slip. Now, that's a dude I would trade up for. If you're talking about Byron Murphy slips to number 20, it's easier for us to move from 29 to 20 than it is for us to move from 29 to 13 or in the top 10.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't see myself. I know offensive line is a need, but there's going to be high caliber starting quality guards in the third and the fourth round. Can't say the same thing for defensive tackle. Those defensive tackles fall off after the top, handful of guys, man. And we cried about this so much last season. Where's the interior pass rush? Where's we gonna get some help for Aiden? We need somebody on the interior that can consistently collapse the pocket and destroy things, F things up. Well, there's about 3 of them at the top of this class right here. We talked about Braden Fisk. I don't know how they feel about Braden Fisk. There, as far as the rest of the NFL, people are really hot and cold on Braden Fisk. Some people feel he can play defensive tackle. Some people feel like he can't. They feel like he's more of a 3-4 defensive end. Some people think he can stand up. For one thing, for sure, he showed his athleticism at the combine. So if anything, he provides versatility. We don't know how they feel about a guy like him, but I'm just saying, I'm not disagreeing with anybody else's take. I just think that when you're talking about staying put at 29, and that's where I think a lot of us differ in our opinions about Kool-Aid. If I have the number 1 defensive tackle still on the board at 29 or the number 2, I'm not taking the 4th or 5th best corner. Right. Or in Chop Robinson's case, you're talking about a guy who should probably be a second round project. You know, we get so caught up in the name, the nicknames and the school the guys went to, and we want the sexy pick. Everybody wants wide receivers, edge rushers. You can't always get that. Sometimes you gotta. Somebody brought this up, and I want to give them credit for it, complete credit for it. I was watching on NBC Sports the other day, and they equated drafting offensive linemen with having to eat your vegetables. You know the vegetables are what you need. They're good for you. They're gonna make you big and strong, but they're not sexy. It's not ice cream.
Yeah.
It's not cheesecake.
Yeah. Yeah.
No fan likes to see the Detroit Lions select a guard at 29. The fans don't want to see that. But it could be the right thing to do. But like I said, I'm on the boat of thinking about how I think the draft is going to fall. And if we got the opportunity to take Byron Murphy, trade up and get Byron Murphy at 20 or something, I'm with it.
Man, I would love it. You know what I'm saying?
That would be an ideal player, man. You know what I'm saying? At that spot, because getting back to the offensive line, a little bit. Like I said, I do think we have a couple assets there. Like I said, I think Awosika and Sorsdal are more than capable, or spot duty, here and there, a couple games. But yeah, I agree. Like Orlando, I really don't think it's a pressure. I really believe. I do think if somebody will fall, because you know how it is on draft night. Well, we see it last year. We was on the air streaming when during the first round, and people are losing their mind. You know what I'm saying? We know when it's a run on quarterbacks, they start going. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody want that next guy. The receivers after. It's going to be very interesting to see who takes Marvin Harrison. And then after Marvin Harrison, I think it's going to be a run. Donze, take your pick. And somebody going to pick one of them receivers way too high. I guarantee you. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Leggett or, what's the other kid from Washington? Jalen Polk, somebody's going to get drafted way super high that you wouldn't think. It happens every year. So therefore, I just believe that the Lions don't even really have to do anything unless you like a guy, you trade up for him. If you like Jared Verse, go up there and get Jared Verse. You know what I'm saying? We've been saying that. Hey, no Brian Thomas slander over here. No, I'm just joking.
Brian Thomas can run.
I like Brian Thomas, man. That's another guy I would take. But I did say in the past couple shows ago, I would trade up. I would trade up for him though. You know what I'm saying? I would let especially receiver, I'd let him go my way. Only guy I'm trading for is one of the top linemen, man, defensive lines. Because I think, like you said, Walt, I think you could sit back offensive line and let it play out, you know what I'm saying? Or just defense. I think defense is the only position, if you want one of the corners or the defensive lineman.
I also think something else a lot of us aren't factoring into it. How do they feel about 2025? Because we've already discussed the 2025 class somewhat. At least not, well, we discussed the quarterback position, which doesn't really concern us. But if you're talking about years 6 through 10 of the rebuild, even though we're not rebuilding anymore, I just throw that phrase out there. You may want to get 3 bona fide starters, impact players out of this class.
Yeah.
We already talked about them picks.
Saying it. Yeah.
And if as the Lions, if you plan on picking somewhere between 27 and 32 next year, who gives a damn about that pick?
Right.
Now, we're not guaranteed to be right there in the second round of the playoffs, NFC Championship, Super Bowl next year. Things happen, but we don't envision the wheels falling off on this team. We envision this team being right back in the playoffs next year. So if you plan on picking somewhere in the bottom half of the first round again next year, why wouldn't you move that pick?
Yeah.
I'm all about getting difference makers now. We just went through that lean ass defense. For everybody that says, "Oh, AG had enough," bullshit. Go through that. I mean, we got talent in the secondary that we had to coach up. That AG had to coach up.
Mm-hmm.
We got Aiden Hutchinson. Aside from everybody else, we went through that entire side of the football. Aiden Hutchinson is the only guy on that defense that strikes any fear. Any.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of everybody else are guys that are still kind of coming along. We think Branch is going to be really good one day. We think Ifiatu Melifonwu is going to keep trending in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jack Squad at corner. There's no young promising talent at corner.
Yeah. And I
You
think
know.
that's what
Or edge rusher, aside
yeah.
from Aiden, or defensive line. Like we have to fix this defense if we ever gonna be taken serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we talking about elevating ourselves to what we did last year. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not. I'm gonna just tell you like this: you're not winning in the division with the same damn near the same roster you had last year. It's not gonna happen, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got to change it. You're not saying you got to change all 22 players, but what I'm saying is you do have to bring it some more looks because now tape's out there. Teams know you. Teams know your tendencies. So. Yeah, Deion said, yeah. Now, who's Hundley? Hundley, is that the?
Oh, you talking about Travis? Probably talking about Travis Hunter.
No, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We can wrap it up with the wide receiver spot too, man.
Yeah.
We hoping, you're looking at Donovan Peoples-Jones. I just don't know what to think of Donovan DPJ, man. We had him here at Michigan. He was part of those triplets. Him, Tariq Black, Nico Collins. Remember, for a while, it was an argument over who was going to be the best pro. All three of those dudes were going to be big-time pros. Mm-hmm. I know Tariq Black transferred. After he left Michigan, he transferred somewhere and just disappeared. Of course, DPJ got drafted. Nico Collins finally got a quarterback. Now he's looking like the guy I knew he could be. DPJ's in the situation, man, now where if it don't work out here, then where? Because he's not a number one. That's been established. He's not a number two. Can you at least be a high-level number three? Because when it gets to a point as a wide receiver, if you're not a number one, you're not a number two. If you can't be an elite three, now you're looking at a career of you constantly being number 4, number 5, maybe being a number 2 or number 3 on a really bad team, going through a rebuild, just bringing guys in a revolving door.
Yeah.
DPJ has an entire offseason now, plus 8 games from last year, I believe. He came over at the deadline. So we hope, just think this. You're looking at St. Brown, Sam Laporta. We expect big-time things from J-Mo. Maybe we can get one good receiver out of Donovan Peoples-Jones and Khalif Raymond and Antoine Green combined.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe we can get that. Maybe we don't need Brian Thomas. Maybe we don't need Malik Neighbors. Maybe J-Mo's going to be Alabama J-Mo.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, Donovan Peoples-Jones can just be an inconsistent third. Every now and then, maybe you pop up for us and give us a 6 catch for 80 yards a game and maybe 1 score. We don't expect it from you consistently, but maybe you can be one of those type of guys.
Yeah, facts.
What are your thoughts on Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Yeah,
and Antoine Green.
Yeah. I think that. Listen, Antoine Green is not a guy that I've given up on. You know what I'm saying? I do think it's something there. Like, I think that it's just another year of him being in the system. You know what I'm saying? He's on the roster. You know what I mean? He knows even if we draft another receiver, I don't think he's in danger of not being on the team. I really do. I think he could take maybe Josh Reynolds' role, right? I mean, it's not far-fetched. I mean, I think he's going to have to learn to be more of a complete receiver. You know what I mean? I think hopefully during the offseason, better route running, because remember, Antoine Green ran the go route a lot at North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? I think more so being more complete from 10 to 15 yards out,
to work on this game. Could he do it? Of course. You know what I'm saying? I like I said, I like Antoine Green. I don't think, even if he may need another half a year before he's ready. Let's just say he starts out the season on the practice squad. I think for him, that's good. For me, I want more production, but he was a 7th round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? At this point, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Maybe something, and I brought the same thing up about Broderick Martin. Some of these guys are who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, I do expect, 30 to 40 catches, 30 to 45 catches is not far-fetched for him. I do think he's way better than what he put out. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones can play. It's just, I think think about it. Getting traded mid-season, that's tough. You know what I'm saying? You come into a situation where the team is winning. Well, he was kind of in the winning situation too with the Browns, but I don't know. I think he more of a pro. I don't see him in trouble either, just because of our receiver room in general. I mean, now if you was to tell me if they get a home, let's just say they take Xavier Leggett or Brian Thomas, then I mean, he may be in trouble because whoever you take that high, they starting, bro. It's not Antoine Green's 7th round. He's
if that's the case,
really
Antoine Green better be in trouble. Like if DPJ lost out his spot to AG, Antoine Green, the other AG. if he lost his job out to Antoine Green, that's a bad look, bro. Mm-hmm. That's a real bad look. But I can't see DPJ getting 40 catches. Simply because Laporta gonna get his targets. If all these weapons stay healthy, Jahmyr Gibbs gonna get his catches out the backfield. Laporta gonna get his targets. Saint gonna get all of his targets.
Yeah.
So it's like then J-Mo. That's why I was talking to someone the other day about J-Mo. J-Mo may never truly reach his full potential with us. Because he got too much talent. There's too many targets for him to share targets with, man.
I see.
He's never going to be the main guy here. He's going to always be behind Saint, at least with Jared Goff, because we know the type of quarterback Jared Goff is and what his strengths are. Now, we got some big-time gunslinger at quarterback over the next couple years. Then, J-Mo will probably thrive with a guy like Stafford. And I just throw Stafford out there because Stafford, Josh Allen, like those type of quarterbacks, J-Mo will probably thrive with. But when you're looking at a quarterback like Goff, who Laporta and St. Brown are right up his alley. Those are his type of guys, and those are his favorite guys. So that's why I can't really see DPJ getting even 40 catches. It'd be nice, but I just so
somebody got to make up for them catches. I mean, Josh Reynolds, let's be honest. For everybody that wanted to bash Josh Reynolds, he made some plays at opportune time especially last season. Think about it. I mean, how many times a big 4th down, 3rd down, Josh Reynolds was there 10, 12, 15 yards, you know what I'm saying? And
Orlando, right. Go ahead and finish and don't comment on what Orlando said.
Yeah, no, of course. No, what I was just going to say was like, somebody else got to catch those 30 balls. Why not DPJ? You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. I agree with you, though. I mean, that's up to Jared Goff. That's why he's going to be getting paid the big bucks to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And make sure, he spreads it out, and not be so predictable. You know what I mean? Which I think that was a strength for our team. Think about it. I mean, we average, damn near 30 a game or something like that, points per game. I think that's
still too many close games, though. When you look at the talent we have on offense, we should be able to. And somebody put it, was it Roy? Yeah, Roy put it there. J-Mo's got to be a home run hitter. We need to start jumping on teams early, a lot more, and using the pass game because we've been using the run game to set up the pass long enough. I think if we can start jumping on teams early, and that means quick strike. Like J-Mo, we need to get J-Mo into that groove of, do I expect J-Mo to ever be a 13, 14 catch guy for 180 yards? He's not a possession receiver. J-Mo, and we talked about this at the draft when they drafted him, J-Mo is that 7 catches for 205 type of dude and 3 touchdowns. Now the next couple games after that, he may give you, depending on, and that's why I say it goes down to what you with Sam Laporta being here, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's never going to be that consistent guy like that. Like you see Tyreek Hill, he'll rip off 7 straight weeks of 100-yard games. That's never going to be J-Mo here. Goff ain't that type of quarterback, and our offense ain't built like that. But it's up to Goff now to make that boy a lot more productive, bro. We're not talking about 3 years into J-Mo's career and you still can't vibe with him. Boy, if you don't throw that 4-2 40 to football and stop BSing so we can start jumping out on teams 21-0 instead of having to have all these weird ass Atlanta games and Tampa Bay games like we had earlier in the season.
Yeah, because remember when even in the NFC Championship game we seen J-Mo, remember he ran an end around. You know what I'm saying? And we had the Niners on the ropes, man. You know what I'm saying? Just doing what we do. And I think next year, what this upcoming season gonna be more of the same. I think that the Lions' strength is they gonna be able to score. And I'm glad about that because, like you said, you can't go into a game like just pick a team that really can't score off top of head. Anyway,
Jets.
Jets. Remember, yeah, exactly. Jets like last year. Remember, their defense was all world. They had a Super Bowl defense, but they couldn't score more than 15 points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the Lions going to force you to play their way. I think that's what I like about them now. I think that now we can dictate how we want to play the game. You know what I'm saying? But I think we can play both ways, if you want to slow it down and run the ball. But we can score, 34 and win, 37 and win, that type of thing. So, yeah. I like you said, Walt, I like the idea of drafting a receiver. I think somebody just said Roman Wilson at 73. It's just all depending on which one. Which one are you going to choose for your system, man? I would trade up. I was saying I would trade up, excuse me, but now I don't know if I really would for any. Obviously I'm not talking about Marvin Harrison. Who would want Marvin Harrison Jr., or Malik Neighbors, of course, but after those guys right there, I don't know if I'd trade for any of those other guys. You can put Rome in there too. Rome Odunze, you can put him in there too. It's like a guy that is going to be hot. They got him pegged at 9 with Chicago, and with him and Caleb Williams, man, that would be lethal for Chicago. I think that's really exciting. If you're the Bears, you're going to be excited to know you're getting a franchise quarterback, and then you give him a weapon like that to start his career. That would be pretty good. So I think the Lions would, as long as our offense is strong, we can stay with Chicago and beat them. We can play with Green Bay. We can play with Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Because I told you our division is going to be like the AFC West. You know what I'm saying? The AFC West usually always tight games, and no matter if Denver plays Kansas City plays the Raiders, the Chargers play the Chiefs, they all play each other tough. And I think that's the NFC North has always been like that, but I think more so this upcoming season. So
that's me being polite, muting myself. Like I said, we 8 days away, man.
Yeah.
8 days away. This is a damn good football team. They got a lot of room to grow. I think they got a lot of options in this draft. They chose to ignore. I'm not going to say they completely ignored the defense last year. They did take Jack Campbell in the first round, but I think this draft is set up for us to really capitalize defensively as well as on the offensive line, man, whether they decide to go O-line first round, second round, third round, whatever. I think there's a lot of solid prospects that's going to still be on the board. But I think we're going to benefit from us having the riches that we do have. We do have a good offensive line. So you're going to see quality offensive linemen fall because a lot of people need receivers. They need quarterbacks. More than likely, we're going to see about 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. I think Penix and Bo Nix both will still go in the first. You're talking about McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, as well as Caleb Williams. We don't need that. There's a lot of positions we don't need that other teams do. In return, is going to push a lot of these defensive players down. I think if we're really going to take that next step next year, Golf doesn't need any more weapons. Let's just be honest about it. He's good. You're talking about him being year 4 within the same offense. He should know that offense like the back of his hand, timing wise, chemistry wise with everybody. He shouldn't need any more weapons. Let's be honest about it. Patrick Mahomes would love the offense we have right now. If we just being honest about it. He's got the offensive line. It's time to really get taken serious and build this defense. And I think this draft is it, man. This is where I feel like you really swing for the fences. We talked about with John McElroon of the Detroit Lions podcast a couple weeks ago, the possibility of Brad Holmes ending up with 2 first-round picks in this draft right here. It possibly moving the 2025 pick, and ended up with 2 bona fide star-type players, at least star-caliber players at key positions on defense. So the top teams do it on both sides of the football, man. They do. And like I said, Aaron Glenn, he's taken a lot of crap here, a lot of grief, a lot of it well-deserved over the first couple of years. But considering what he's been given, I think he's grown and he's taught a lot of these players. He's developed a lot of guys here that under other regimes wouldn't have worked out and were looking like busts. And it's time to really upgrade the defense now, man. Give this guy some real tools to play around with, and let's take that next step.
Yeah.
Because we was this close. We was this close. And I think our youth showed up against San Francisco. You're looking at the Jahmyr Gibbs fumble. You're talking about the Josh Reynolds drop. You're talking about the Vildor ball off the face mask to Brandon Ayuk. We look like an inexperienced team at the biggest moment.
Yeah, the ability to just to be able to stop, just stop the run. Remember, McCaffrey was kind of just doing what he kind of wanted when they had the momentum. They had us on the ropes, and they realized it. You know what I'm saying? They realized that we couldn't stop the running game, and and I've heard other analysts say this, and I think they're 100% right. Like if the Lions had not Chris Jones, it's only Chris Jones is one of one, but a Chris Jones type player, then maybe we win that game against the 49ers. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to come up with a big play at the right time. I always pinpoint when we lost that playoff game when Sue was here to the Cowboys. I always remember Ndamukong Suh made 2 of the biggest plays of that game, man, where I remember he sacked Romo twice in the final drive of that game to give us the ball back, and which we still didn't score. After they picked up the flag and all that crap. But I remember that Ndamukong Suh made 2 all-world plays, man, to win that game, and we didn't win it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, players show like Chris Jones, we seen the Super Bowl. Chris Jones won the damn Super Bowl for the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what this team is missing. You know what I mean? We're missing a guy like
Chris
that.
Jones won a lot of games for them, man.
Yeah.
And this is what burns me up about football and our relationship with quarterbacks. Team wins, Mahomes get all the credit, every single bit of the credit. We can go back through all 3 of those or 4 of those, Tennessee, all 4 of those, because it is 4, right? He does have 4 rings now, doesn't he? He beat Frisco twice. He beat Philadelphia. No, he had 3.
No, he had 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah. You go back to all 3 of those Super Bowl runs. There were games where Chris Jones, because since Tyreek Hill left, that offense hasn't been the same big time, big splash play offense. They evolved. They became something else, more of a game management offense, similar to what Brady was early on. You got an elite quarterback, top level, probably one of the best offensive minds in all of football, and Andy Reid, and they changed things around. So, but I'll get trailed off talking about other teams, Mahomes and all these other guys, but Orlando did have something else to say. Only thing I'm worried about is them moving Decker. Rumors I'm reading, but just rumors. It's possible. It would probably make more sense to move Decker now, seeing how much teams do need left tackle help.
Yeah.
Take the Chiefs, for example. Like, there's teams out there that do want a veteran at left tackle. They don't really have the time to go out there and draft some kid who may or may not turn out. Look at Evan Neal. just to throw Evan Neal out there, not really to just bash Evan Neal, but Evan Neal was an offensive lineman who was highly regarded, number 1 left tackle in the draft in his class, him right along with Ike Ekwanwu. Evan Neal has struggled horribly his first couple years in the league. Horribly.
Yeah.
So, who else has something else to say? Oh, Sean had a question, man. Y'all doing a show on these new uniforms. That'd be fun, man.
Yeah. Because
That
I
would
think
be
Thursday, they're revealing them Thursday, right? The 18th. So it's coming up in a couple of days. I did see like a trailer. If you go to, Detroit Lions on like Instagram, they did do a couple teasers today, showing that the like the silhouette of it. You know what I'm saying? I did see it looked like a white jersey and it had blue, like navy blue name stitched to the back. I see Jared Goff, and it looked like a different shade of blue to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't. It didn't look like the white with the Honolulu blue. You know what I'm saying? It looked like a different shade of blue. So I guess we'll know soon enough in less than 48 hours. You know what I'm saying? Those new uniforms. I think that would be fun. Hopefully I did see the Jets, and the Jets look sweet. You know what I'm saying? I seen the Texans rolled out. I think we won I think it's 4 teams that's busting out new unis this year. I think the Lions, the Texans, and the Jets, and it was another team. I could be wrong. I think it was the Jaguars or one of those other. And I know it's 4 teams, and we're one of them. So
for sure, we one of them. All this winning we doing, we getting primetime games, we getting new uniforms, we getting brand new cheerleaders.
And we getting an opportunity, man, to just be, just to have a franchise, to be well respected around the league. People don't take it for jokes. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I did comment on a couple posts. I think it was I think it might have been Woodward Sports, and I thought it was a local post right from us. So they had a picture of JJ McCarthy, right? No, it was Drake May. That's what it was. It was a picture of Drake May, and it was in a Vikings uniform, and it was like, would like Minnesota be a factor if they drafted Drake May? Something like that, right? The caption. And I said, like, it did. I said, it was like, please draft him. Like, that for us, that would be good, because I don't think that Drake May going to the Vikings would make them like better than the Lions all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of what I said, right? So these Minnesota fans was like all over me, like you think y'all done won the division once, and
they're gonna keep throwing that out there. They're gonna keep throwing it out there.
And I was just like, out of all people, I felt like disrespect. Like, Minnesota fans shouldn't be saying anything. I said Lions got as many Super Bowls as y'all do. Wins, rather, 0. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't won the Super Bowl, so y'all made it 4 times with Fran Tarkington or whoever the hell it was, quarterback. Y'all made it 4 times, but y'all never won. So y'all
Let's be real about it. We've been to the NFC Championship more recently than them. The last time they've been to the NFC Championship was against
Atlanta.
It was Atlanta. That was what, 98?
97. I think Chris Chandler was the quarterback. Jamal Anderson.
No, I take that back. Remember Brett Favre and the Saints?
Yeah, maybe
in the interception, the Tracy Porter interception.
Okay, maybe that.
Brett Favre. Yeah, remember that was the year the Saints beat the Colts in the Super Bowl.
And the Super Bowl was the 09 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got more success than them, man. Forget the Vikings.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, I do think, like you said, around the league, I think, the Lions ain't a joke no more. I think that, like you said, I think more so than any year, I think this year teams coming for us, man. It ain't no easy, you know what I'm saying? And that's what, we gonna get into it more as after the draft is now, and then we get into the off-season workout, stuff like that. I mean, this the year right here because now, you know, a lot of people say, well, y'all had an easy schedule. Y'all played last place schedule. That's why that was good. So now we on first place schedule. And I think that is a valid point because now you're going to get teams that was good last year, you know, just like we
Man,
was. So
people don't know what card they want to play. On a year-to-year basis, you don't know who the hell's gonna be good, bro. Everybody knows
that's
that.
true. That's
If
true
we
right there.
if we turn out to be if we win 13 games next season, because everybody already talking about, yeah, y'all got to play this first place schedule. If we win 13 games next season, and let's say that first place schedule turns out to flop, let's say Houston isn't that good because we do got to play Houston. Let's say Houston turns
Yeah.
out to not be good because it can happen on a year-to-year basis. It can happen. If all those teams that were projected as big time tough opponents for us turn out to not be good and we destroy all of them, then what the excuses are going to be? Yeah, but Houston didn't turn out to be nothing and Jacksonville was nothing and da this and da that. And that's all they're going to do. They're going to keep moving the stick. They're going to keep moving the stick on. And you can, on a year-to-year basis, you don't know who's going to be good. We don't know if we're going to be good because we know how fluky football can be.
Yeah.
You can we can mess around next season and lose 7 games by a total of 5 points or something crazy. Like not 5 points literally, I can add, but you know, just to throw it out there, you know, on a yearly basis, you don't know. You know, and for you to win 12 to 13, 14 games, a little bit of luck comes into play. You know, you need some of those calls to go your way.
Yeah.
You know, some of those tipped interceptions, fumble recovery, stuff like that. Staying injury free relatively. We didn't lose our quarterback at any point in time. We didn't lose St. Brown. Laporta was in and out with a nagging injury here and there. But the defense got better. You know, so this is a team we expect to be good next season. And, you know, with a good draft, and then building the team, refurbishing the team isn't done after the draft because you're talking about May, June, July before the next season starts. So you're talking about cuts coming around, other players being released from teams that you might want to bring in. So the current roster we just went through over the past hour and a half or such isn't anything close to what we're going to see come August. That's just how it is. And I think this is going to be one hell of a football team. I think Brad Holmes is going to give us one hell of a show at the draft. For Lions fans that are wrapped up in we want to pick at 29, the draft is here. What about us? We came all the way downtown to sit all the way through 3 hours just to see you trade out of the first round. Brad Holmes don't give a damn about that. He's built. If fans honestly believe Brad Holmes is going to turn down a really good trade proposal at 29 because, well, you know, our fans, you know, they really came down here to support us and they waited for 3 hours, so we got to give them something. Holmes ain't thinking like that, and I wouldn't want a GM to think like that. You know, he's here to do what's best for this team, and I think, like I said, he's gonna give us one hell of a show Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So with that being said, man, we'll be back. Want to come back Thursday and maybe tackle the uniforms a little bit.
Yeah. Yep, that'll be good. Yeah, we could you know, come on and then hit that, of course.
All right, for sure. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, man. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back on Thursday to take a look at those uniforms. Are they worth it? Are they not? Is it something we can rock with? We'll tackle it. Till next time, one pride.